The young actress who plays young Natasha. Wow, what was that accent? Natasha.
You're not from the Midwest, sir.
No, I don't know where that came from.
Welcome to the Art of Costume Blogcast. I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass.
And I'm Spencer Williams.
How you doing, Spencer?
I'm doing okay. How are you? I missed you.
I'm doing pretty good. I missed you too.
What have you been up to?
Working. I did get to watch Ted Lasso today, and that gave me a better outlook on life, so...
Oh, I've been wanting to watch that. It looks really good.
All things considered, it's great. The episodes are like half an hour. It's very wholesome. Makes you feel good about yourself.
So, Elizabeth, what are we watching today?
We are watching Black Widow.
Woo!
Finally! After how many years?
So many years. I think it's been 84 years I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. 4 times our like how long we've been alive is how long we've been waiting for this. If you haven't seen Black Widow and care about spoilers, you know this is a movie review podcast where we take a deeper look at the costumes. So stop right here. Go to the theaters if you're vaccinated. Watch Black Widow. Or if you want to stay home, buy it on Disney+.
Yes, I just want to say that this is a movie that should really be seen in the theaters, though. It is very magical.
So good.
If you haven't been to a movie theaters in a long time, make sure you're vaccinated. Go to your nearest theaters. Wear a mask if you have to, and just really enjoy the Black Widow Marvel experience. It's worth it.
Yes.
I have to say, though, this is well worth the wait, though. And I feel like it came out at the perfect time in our lives where we needed a Marvel movie.
Yeah, that's true.
It could not have been more perfect after getting through, well, I shouldn't say getting through a majority of the pandemic. We're still in it, but... Yeah,
I wish we had gotten it between Civil War and Infinity War, like where it's supposed to land. Like, I do wish we had gotten it there. But hey, better late than never.
I don't know. I like it where it's at. I feel like it was such like a wonderful love letter to the Black Widow. That's something I just needed because I was so sad when she died. And I feel like all these years I've been waiting for a sign that she's out there somewhere.
I know. Because it was like, oh, Black Widow movie. They up and kill her. And I was like, okay, thanks for that. Like, how they did it was really good. Like,
oh, yeah. I mean... Endgame is a brilliant movie, but still.
But I was like, okay, I guess that's like, no more Black Widow movie. Like, you just killed Black Widow. But, no, here we are.
I think, as you can all tell, Elizabeth and I are huge Marvel nerds. And I realize that this is only, episode 5, 6? 5. Episode 5, and we're already doing our second Marvel piece. And let's be real, there's more to come.
Yeah.
I think before we start, Elizabeth, I just want to hear who your favorite Avenger or Marvel character is, besides James Buchanan Barnes III, Jr., Wilson, Archibald Fitzpatrick.
I mean, you started going past the name at Junior, but okay. I don't know why you want to put me through this.
Oh, like, name one or two.
But there's just, like, so many. It's like, there's Black Widow. There's Valkyrie. There is Loki.
Ooh.
There is Thor.
Don't get me started.
Captain America.
I love Black Panther. I'm a big fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yes.
Thor super fun.
Oh, we'll
Thor
have to do that at some
Ragnarok.
point.
Oh, definitely. Thor Ragnarok is one of the greatest Marvel movies ever.
I cannot wait for Love and Thunder. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh, I know. We're going to do that podcast immediately. We should probably just bring our podcast equipment to the movie theaters.
Do a live stream it, get in a lot of trouble, be shut down.
All right, well, I think we should get into it. I will start us off with a summary, and then Elizabeth will give us some behind the wardrobe facts. You will all be pleased to know that I actually did my homework this week and did write a summary.
Yeah.
Granted, some of it might be plagiarized, but the majority of it is in my
Oh my gosh,
Spencer. Oh gosh. In 2016, Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, is a fugitive in hiding for violating the Sokovia Accords. Black Widow is forced to confront the darker parts of her past when she comes face to face with Taskmaster, a very dangerous killer who is hunting down Natasha, as she is unknowingly carrying an antidote to the Red Room's chemical mind control agent. Pursued by forces that will stop at nothing to bring her down, Natasha must deal with her history and the broken relationships left in her wake long before she became an Avenger.
Beautiful summary. Beautiful summary.
Thank you. I thought that was chef's kiss.
So good. Yeah, I haven't liked a movie this much in a very long time. A very long time. And you know what was good, Spencer? You know what was good? You know what I liked?
I'm scared.
The costumes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, me too.
Let's go behind the wardrobe. Now, one thing I will say about Black Widow is not a ton of costumes. Surprisingly. Not a ton of costumes. However, they were all brilliant. And they were brought to us by the brilliant Jany Temime. Wonderful, wonderful costume designer. Our director for this was Kat Shortland. Her vision was amazing. So, you will all know Temime from one of 6 Harry Potter films. She designed all the Harry Potter films from 3 through 8. You also know her from The Children of Men, James Bond Skyfall, Passengers, and Judy. So, interesting how Jany Temime got into costume design in the first place, because in 1968, she was actually at university to study Latin and become a Latin teacher.
Ooh.
However, she took part in the May 68 revolution in France, which was a student and worker-led revolution to basically change the government. Because we don't learn anything about anybody else's history in school, I didn't know much about it. And I tried to do a little bit of research, but everything I found, it was like you had to already know stuff. So I was like, I'm going to write this down and look it up later.
Thank you, American education system.
Thank you, American educational system. But she took part in that, and she said in an interview with GQ that if not for 1968, I would have become a Latin teacher. My studies were sort of aborted after being so bad on the barricades against the French government. So I had to change. I became somebody else. I'm still a leftist person, of course, but I will not throw stones anymore. I work for Marvel. So she was like, okay, gonna become a Latin teacher. No, French government. And then became a costume designer.
She's a badass. I love her.
She is a badass. I was like, I need to learn more about this.
Well, I know Jany is a big fan of the Art of Costume, too. So I'm so excited that she gets to hear this eventually.
You're wonderful.
We love you, too, Jany Temime.
Also, I got really excited about this. Spencer.
Elizabeth, my dear.
Do you know what she's working on right now?
Oh, I know. I know.
You know? You know. What is she working on, Spencer?
Jany Temime is working on House of the Dragon, which is going to be the first Game of Thrones spin-off. It's a prequel to Game of Thrones, and I am so fucking excited.
So excited. Matt Smith's in it. I'm ready for it.
I love Game of Thrones. I miss it so much, and I cannot think of a more perfect costume designer to be taking on this project.
There is not one. She is amazing. She has a BAFTA nomination, 3 Costume Designer Award nominations, 2 wins with them for Harry Potter, The Deathly Hallows Part 2 and Skyfall. So, brilliant, but not super recognized, which I hope changes with Black Widow.
Oh, yes. I had the privilege of speaking with Jany Temime this past year for the Goblet of Fire around the holidays, and she was absolutely wonderful. I loved her. She gave me so many great notes on Harry Potter. I'm a Harry Potter nerd. I used to be in Harry Potter, like, book clubs. We used to write fan fictions, all that good stuff.
Can I get some of that fan fiction?
I burnt it. You can't find it.
What website is it on?
None of your business, Elizabeth. I'm not going to let you do this to me on the podcast.
That's okay. I can track down people who know.
Yeah. Jany Temime is wonderful.
So, unfortunately, there's not, I guess because it's so new, there's not a ton of information. And she also inherited a lot of, like, just the Black Widow style from all the former movies. She, however, did want to adapt it to be more suited to Scarlett Johansson's body, to be more comfortable, and she wanted to bring, like, a sense of reality to it, despite the fact that it's a comic book movie. With that being said, let's take a little breaky break, and we'll get right into the movie after we return.
I love a breaky break.
Welcome back.
Ooh, I'm so ready.
Are you ready?
Let's do this.
All right, bring us into it, Spencer.
Well, the movie starts in 1995, which was a good year, by the way. 1995 was a good year.
Year after I was born.
And the year I was born. Hello?
Yeah.
And we come upon the cutest little perfect family living in Ohio. Wow, they're so wonderful.
We see young Natasha on her bike, bicycling through their neighborhood in Ohio. She meets up with her little sister, Yelena. So they're outside, they're having fun, and their mom, Yelena, played by Rachel Weisz, the beautiful, wonderful Rachel Weisz, comes out, gives them a little lesson on fireflies, while looking like the quintessential 90s mom in her mom jeans, t-shirt, and flannel. And is like, okay, let's go inside, let's have dinner. She's made a lovely little dinner. And then everything goes downhill when Alexei, played by David Harbour, comes in. And he's like, I got a disky disc from work, and work is on fire. Let's go.
This was such a crazy scene. I was just kind of watching this, not really sure what was happening when I was in the theaters. I was like, oh, cute little family. You know, in my head, I was like, this isn't how I imagined her story to start off. And then things started really spiraling, and I was like, oh, okay, like none of this is real.
Yeah, because Alexei, he sits down at the table and is like, girls, we're going on an adventure. Mm-hmm. And Yelena's excited, but you can see Natasha. She knows what's up, and she doesn't want to go.
She knows some shady stuff's about to happen, and she's just not in the mood for it. And I feel like even Yelena is not really excited either.
I think Alexei is the only one that's kind of excited. Yelena, she has no idea what's going on because she's like 6.
Yeah,
she doesn't know that they're a Russian spy family. She doesn't know. Well, she kind of knows that, but not really.
I mean, she doesn't really know that, and at this moment, I don't even know what's going on.
No.
Things escalate quickly. Next thing you know, they're speeding in their car to an airfield.
They're being chased by the police and S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, Alexei's rushing them into the plane. He's grabbing a gun. Next thing you know, like, Yelena's driving a plane.
He's tossing a big-ass trash he just flips it out of the way, and it's like, wait, what? Turns out he's a super soldier.
Yeah, it's Captain America all over again. Did not know. We've learned a lot about super soldiers in the past year as a Marvel fan base. Apparently everyone was a super soldier. We just didn't know that. Yeah, and then Yelena is shot. Natasha has to help her fly the plane while Alexei holds onto a wing and shoots at the shield agents. I was just like, why is this so wild? This is crazy. Like, I was just thinking, like, oh, maybe they're going to have a cute little board game night and play Monopoly or something. But nope. Yeah. Their wild adventure became a full-on plane chase with their dad hanging on the wing with a rifle.
You know what was so sad, though? When they were in the car, and Yelena was like, put on my favorite song, An American Pie comes on.
Yeah.
And they're all singing to it. And it's like, but you're all Russian spies.
Yeah, I was almost kind of crying already. It was the first 5 minutes of the movie, and I was already upset.
It's the first 5 minutes of the movie, and they land in Cuba. And I was like, why are we in Cuba now? They all get off the plane. Rachel Wise, medics are, carrying her away as she tells Natasha not to lose her heart. And Alexei is greeted by... He's greeted by Dreykov, played by Ray Winston, and he...
He's kind of a jerk.
He's kind of a jerk, and he looks like the quintessential, leisure man from the 90s in his tracksuit. And so I have some notes on that. GQ did a really good article called Beneath the Spy Costumes, Black Widow Tries to Nail Post-Soviet Style. Mm-hmm. So for his tracksuit, she wanted him to look very nouveau riche. She wanted this idea that, as soon as the Soviet Union fell, he, just got rid of his uniform and, wanted to look like he was an important man who, had a lot of money, which in the 90s, for whatever reason, that was, a very nice tracksuit.
Yeah, that's true, though. I mean, they're spot on.
Spot on. He's got his tracksuit. I think he has, a gold chain necklace. He's got sunglasses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's perfect. It says everything you just said. You could read that instantly from the tracksuit.
It's I am a creepy man.
A creepy man with a lot of money who does some shady stuff, we will come to find out over the next...
More than just some shady stuff. But he's greeting Alexei with a big hug, and Alexei's like, I got what you wanted. The rest of the copies are destroyed. Please, can I put my suit back on? And it's like, what suit? And Dreykov's like, yeah, we'll talk about it. Meanwhile, Natasha starts to freak out because one of the soldiers tried grabbing her little sister, and she knows what's up. She knows where they're going, and that it's not good. So she disarms a Russian military officer, threatens to murder everybody, which she probably could have, or at least murdered one or two of them.
Definitely.
But Alexei's like, you're all going to be okay, because my girls are the strongest girls in the world, and it's going to be fine, as Russian soldiers inject them with who knows what, knocking them out.
I love this part because the young actress who plays young Natasha, wow, what is that accent? Natasha.
You're not from the Midwest, Spencer.
No, I don't know where that came from. The young actress who plays young Natasha is Ever Anderson, which is actually Mila Jovovich's daughter.
Really?
Yeah, so when she grabs the gun, I swear... She looks just like her mother, Mila, at this moment. Please tell me you've seen The Fifth Element, Elizabeth.
I think so. I've seen most of it.
Oh, okay. Well, first
I
of
know
all,
who Mila Jovovich.
I know, but there's a scene in The Fifth Element where Leeloo Dallas has a gun and she has this crying face and she's very dramatic. Looks just like her daughter in the scene of Black Widow. It's such a parallel moment. That, it's so good. I was so hyped.
It was such a good scene. And then it goes into the opening credits, which I think this is some of my favorite opening credits of all time. there is a killer cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit by Mila J. It's haunting. They have a montage of basically, like, girls being chosen and trained for the Red Room, including Natasha and Yelena. And it's just, like, it's so creepy, and it lets you know, like, oh, their childhood was terrible.
Yeah, when you said haunting, that is the perfect way to put it. Like, these opening credits feel long, they feel heavy. You know, and Scarlett Johansson has talked about how Black Widow really came from the Me Too movement. It was really one of the big influences for this movie. And I feel like these opening credits says everything about this movie that you need to know. Just the haunting, misogynistic ideas that go into, you know, the Red Room, and just this entire movie is just so heavy, and those opening credits really set it up that way. I mean, by the end of those credits, I was already exhausted. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for this, but we're going to do it.
Those credits are like a whole movie within themselves.
Yeah.
But they tell you everything you need to know in that, like, couple minutes that it goes on.
Before we move on to the rest of the movie, I want to talk about the costumes from Ohio, since we're clearly never going back there.
Oh, yeah. It's so 90s.
Yeah, it's so 90s. I love young Natasha's raglan t-shirt. I just love her entire look because it says a lot about her character. It's kind of tomboyish a little bit. She's just her. I love the blue hair, which says a lot about, like, Natasha's hair colors throughout all of the Marvel movies later. She's very expressive.
Yeah, and then we have little Yelena in her pink shorts, pink striped top, just being adorable.
So cute. She's just, like, such, like, a little girly girl, too, and just, I feel like she's really living in the fantasy, I think, is what her costume is saying.
I mean, they say that they've been there for about 3 years. So she was put in their family as, like, the little daughter when she was 3. She doesn't know anything else.
Yeah, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Once you unravel what's going on here, it's awful. And then I love the costumes on Melina and Alexei because they're such good disguises, especially Alexei's with the glasses. I don't know why, but that just automatically, after we did Captain America 2, it just says, like, spy.
Spy glasses.
Spy glasses.
The spy glasses, the nondescript jacket.
It's very believable. Jany Temime did a great job, I feel like. It just feels very believable 90s, you know, family in Ohio trying to blend in, but it's almost like the glasses somehow say, like, but everything you see is not to be believed 100%.
It's not. But it is part of what makes Natasha Romanoff as she is trying to escape in the modern day.
I hope you all have seen all the Marvel movies. If at this point you have not seen Captain America Civil War, you need to reevaluate your life decisions at this moment.
Yeah.
So basically, after the Sokovia Accords, Natasha Romanoff is on the run, as most of our Marvel superheroes are at this moment. And they all just go their separate directions. I believe some of them are in prison at this moment. It's been a long while since I've seen them. But it's kind of weird going back to movies that happened even, like, before Infinity War and Endgame. You know, like, really pushing back behind it. But Natasha's on the run, and she finds a lovely safe house in Norway. Which
she does.
I don't think she really got the hard end of the stick here, you know? It's a nice little area.
It's lovely. It's in, like, the middle of nowhere. I do love when they're, when Secretary Ross is coming after her, you think, like, they make it look like they have her cornered, but it's like, oh no, she left behind her Black Widow suit and is, like, nowhere near where they think she is.
Yeah, why would you think you could catch the Black Widow? It's impossible.
Yeah, she's just, like, in a nice dress, puts a hoodie on, and is, like, on a ferry to live her new life.
I love her disguise outfit, which is a hoodie, and her red hair. Like, come on. We all know you are Natasha Romanoff.
Yeah. So, she's trying to escape. Meanwhile, Yelena is still part of the Red Room. She's still running missions. She's on a mission right now to track down a former comrade of hers.
Yeah, Yelena is a part of the Black Widows that are hunting down, like Elizabeth said, a comrade. And this is intense. I mean, these women are killers. They're scary, dangerous.
Yeah, this was so intense, and they looked scary.
I loved the Black Widow costumes.
They looked so good. Like,
they are so amazing.
They're very, like, symbols, like, okay, it's like a black jumpsuit, but then, like, on top, with where it almost looks like armor, I was like, ooh, yes.
They're just so good. They're so form-fitting, but they also look comfortable and flexible and, like, breathable at the same time, but also very strong. I want to be a Black Widow for Halloween.
I know. Me too. Maybe we'll coordinate.
Okay. Yeah. Yelena ends up tracking down the target and ends up killing her.
Yes.
But not before the Black Widow releases this antidote, which frees Yelena from the grasp of the Red Room. And suddenly, Yelena's like, what is happening? And it almost like it's like her past life is just killed instantly, and she's on this new track.
It's like she wakes up. And she's upset about her friend dying.
Just go spread this antidote all over the world.
Go spread this antidote to all the widows around the world. So this next part, like, made me a little, because she stabs into her leg to remove a tracker.
Oh, yeah.
So she destroys her beautiful, like, Black Widow costume. But she's, like digging it out of her leg.
Yeah. It sounded very meaty, you know?
Yeah.
I couldn't be a Black Widow.
But I was also like, how stupid are the people in the Red Room to put a tracker in a mind-controlled individual and let the mind-controlled individual know where their tracker is?
Yeah, I was like, oh, it was right there? Okay.
So gross. So gross. For the Widow costumes, though, like I said, she, like, already had the previous, like, Black Widow costumes to kind of, like, build off of. But for those, she was really given free range. And I do like how she kept the Black Widow influence in them, but still made them, like, something entirely their own.
Oh, yeah. And I thought it was cool that we've only ever seen, like, the Black Widow costume on Natasha in the other movies. You know, different variations of it. But it was so cool seeing, like, multiple people wearing, like, these variations of the Black Widow costume. I thought it was awesome, and these women could handle anything, you know? This is the Red Room's version of the Dora Milaje of Black Panther. Like, where were these women during Avengers Endgame or Infinity War? Like, we needed you.
We needed the widows, that they did not show up.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. But she's like, okay, I gotta take this and run. Because now they're after her. But Natasha, she's just in Norway, gets to her new safe house, which is a trailer in, like, the middle of the woods. And we meet Mason, who is basically her get out of, like, jail guy. He provides her with all the fake identities, the safe house. He apparently just will set you up with whatever you need to start a new life.
Yes, he seems like a cool guy, you know? Everyone needs, like, to have a nice dealer in their life.
I thought there was going to be, like, a little thing between the two of them. I'm glad there wasn't, but, like, they were so cute. They were, like, good friends.
It's not necessary, but for a little bit I was like, yeah, it'd be nice to see, like, a little romance. But I feel like that goes against the point of the movie, you know?
I know.
I feel like no one deserves Natasha, you know? She is just so above everyone. Especially after this movie, I just have such a new respect for Black Widow. Like, she's just up there, you know? So, after her wonderful hideout runs out of gas pretty quickly here, like after 15 minutes of watching TV, she has to get in a car and drive off to go find gas, I guess.
Yeah, she has to go into town, get gas, because she's a little far out. Mason also left a whole bunch of, like, mail from a previous safe house she had lived in.
Yeah.
And it's from the Budapest safe house. And she's like, well, I don't want this. So she's like, okay, kill two birds with one stone. get gas, throw all this stuff away. You see in the case, in the thing of mail, the case that Yelena had taken with the antidotes.
Which I feel like she should have put in a more visible package that said, hello, antidote to cure all the Black Widows from the Red Room.
And just like, Natasha, I was like, you're not going to at least like see who the mail's from? Like, you're just like, I'll chuck all of this out. I don't need this.
I understand that, though. I get so tired of people. I love the mailman to death, but I get annoyed every time we have more mail stuffed into my mailbox. I don't care. Like, it's never for me. It's always junk or bills. So I get Natasha. She's like, not checking.
If someone mails you like a hard, thick case, you're not going to open that?
Well, I guess I would, but all I get is junk mail, so I don't know. Maybe she just feels the same way as me, and she just does not like junk mail or bills.
Maybe not, but you know what she does? What she does love? She likes Sia, because she's in the car. She's listening to Sia.
Yeah, she was.
She's just going along her merry way.
She's listening to Cheap Thrills with Sean Paul. Which I loved.
She's just going along. She's making a turn. And all of a sudden, she is hit and her car is on fire.
Oh, when I tell you I fell out of my chair when the car got hit.
I wasn't ready for that.
I jumped so hard, I did not think that my heart was going to recover.
I wasn't ready for that.
Like we were watching a ghost movie or something. I jumped so hard.
Yeah.
So Natasha is now under attack. We come to find out that it is the legendary Taskmaster. If you all have read any Marvel comic books, this is a comic book villain from the Marvel comics. And as Natasha comes to realize, the Taskmaster is proficient in basically mimicking all your moves. It basically just analyzes you and is instantly able to just mimic your moves, which becomes very clear when Natasha gets down in her signature Black Widow pose, and Taskmaster does exactly the same thing. And I was in my seat uh-oh, this is not good.
She very quickly realizes that A, Taskmaster is after the case, not her, and B, she can't go up against Taskmaster. So she grabs what's in the case and jumps off the bridge.
Yeah. Did she jump off, or did she get punted off the bridge like a football?
I think it was half and half. I think she put herself in that position.
We have to talk about the Taskmaster costume for a moment.
Oh my gosh, it was so good.
It is so good. I love it. I think it makes sense. I noticed some people...
It's so mysterious.
It's very mysterious. I've noticed a lot of people on the internet are like, oh, this is nothing like the comic book.
No shit.
Yeah. It's just it's a different character.
Yeah.
But I feel like the costume that Jany created, it does feel very reminiscent of the comic book. It still has the skull structure in the face and the hood. And it has, Taskmaster has the bow and the shield. So it has all the same elements. It's just a more, I guess, realistic version of the comic book.
Realistic, updated, and it fits within the visuals that have already been established by all the other movies. That's the one thing Marvel's very good at, is keeping a consistent style. I think the only movie to, drastically diverge from that was Black Panther. But even Black Panther is it's still, when you watch all the movies back to back, it doesn't feel out of place visually.
No, I feel like Black Panther is different because it was Wakanda. It almost was a whole different world. Yeah. I feel like Black Widow is set in, the universe that we're used to with Captain America and Iron Man. So it feels very, like you said, consistent to what we've constantly seen. So I thought that this costume was brilliant. It had everything we needed. It still felt very mysterious, like you said, which was important. So I thought this costume was awesome.
I thought it was great. I loved the little hood that looked like chainmail I was like, I don't think this serves a purpose, but I like it.
I changed my mind. I actually want to be Taskmaster for Halloween.
Okay.
So
I'll be Black Widow.
Okay. So I think it's safe to say that Natasha has had a rough Friday night. It did not go the way she thought.
Does not go to plan. She's very confused until she actually takes a look at what she grabbed out of the box. Old pictures of her and her little sister stuck in there, telling her, oh, this is from your little sister. So Natasha's like, gotta go to Budapest now.
Yeah, crap. So she very quickly makes it to Budapest with the help of Mason. Makes it to Budapest, and she gets into, I'm guessing, the same safe house Mason's talking about earlier. Walks in, and Natasha already knows, like, it's about to go down. It's almost like Natasha always knows what's about to happen well before the audience knows what's about to happen.
I liked this next scene, but I was also like, why are they fighting?
Yeah, so they go into, like, a very serious, like, sisterly fight, but with knives and guns and smashing through all the walls and destroying the entire house very quickly.
They do. And, like, Yelena's just, like, talking to her from the shadows, and it's like, you know she's an Avenger now. Like, why do you still think she's, like... I understand, like, having a weapon, keeping your distance, because, like, you haven't seen your sister in 20 years... But why are you both trying to strangle each other with the same piece of curtain?
I think it's because Yelena does know that she's Avenger, and I feel like she almost sees the Avengers as silly, and she's kind of trying to assert that, like, just because you're Avenger doesn't mean you're unbeatable type of idea.
I don't know. That didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Either way, it was a perfect way to really introduce Florence Pugh, who... is just absolutely brilliant in this role, and I'm just so excited for her to be part of the MCU now, because what a great f***ing character.
She's so good. This was like a perfect introduction for her. Yeah, they're like, okay, fight's over, like, what's going on here? And unbeknownst to Natasha, who believed many, many years ago she had destroyed the Red Room by murdering Dreykov, unbeknownst to Natasha, she did not end the Red Room or kill Dreykov. So...
No. I mean, it sounds like all she did was really blow up his daughter, which...
Ooh. Which is all news to her, as Yelena explains that, like, hey, I sent you this so Captain America could bring down the Red Room and we could save all the widows from mind control. And Natasha's like, what? No. She's having a hard time accepting the truth of what's going on until a bunch of widows break into the apartment to come murder them. Yeah.
I mean, talking about being outnumbered against this entire army of Black Widows, I feel like this is a good part to talk about all the different costumes we have going on here. The Black Widows are wearing those same really military Black Widow uniforms. But Natasha is very kind of casual.
Wearing a jacket I want.
Yeah. She's wearing a really cool black leather jacket. Very comfortable.
Good for falling down.
Yeah, it's like durable and strong. So I feel like she was probably thinking something's going to go down and I'm going to wear this black leather jacket to protect myself while also still blending in a little bit. But I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah. I loved Yelena's outfit. Just the oversized gray suit jacket with just like the jeans and like t-shirt. Because it's like, oh, you clearly have never had the chance to dress yourself before.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I love that too. It's like she's been wearing that Black Widow uniform all her life, and now she's like throwing together this mismatch of just random articles of clothing, and it still kind of worked. I mean, her outfit was fine.
It was fine. Not great for being chased through the streets of Budapest.
No, they go into a very crazy, very MCU-style car chase with Black Widows everywhere shooting up the streets.
Yeah.
Taskmaster is in this very scary kind of car thing that's smashing...
It's like a tank.
It's like a tank, just smashing through in my head, I'm like, how are the authorities not called for this?
Please. Clearly, the authorities of every nation in this imaginary world of the MCU are useless. They're useless against all these people.
They are so distracted by, all these Marvel superheroes being missing because of the Sokovia Accords that they're not realizing that...
hey, there's nobody to deal with this.
Yeah, there's just a tank just rampaging through Budapest and just women in all these scary black suits just shooting all over the place.
Shooting, chasing after these other normal-looking women. Natasha and Yelena are trying to make their escape. One widow almost gets them until... she, falls off a building, breaks her leg, and Natasha, trying to help her, sees her being forced to commit suicide. This is when she believes everything Yelena's been telling her about mind control.
Yeah, especially because the Black Widow that died said, he is making me do this. I was kind of sweating in my popcorn at this moment. I'm like, making you do what?
I know! And
then she got the shock, and I was like,
and then she doesn't have an eye, and
ugh, gross. Yeah, I love this scene because people always say, because Marvel's a part of Disney now, it's very, childish and washed out. This was some violent stuff in this movie. I mean, she fell off a building, then was killed by this shock, loses an eye. For
having a broken leg.
Yeah, I mean, sick.
It's so bad. It's so problematic. But they're still being pursued, so they're going. And one of my favorite scenes in this happens. They both, I think they're, hit by something, and they fall, over a wall onto, a BMW. And the guy who owns the BMW is like, it's parked. And he's like, oh my gosh, are you guys okay? And Yelena's just like, we're great. Give us your car.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh.
And then Natasha's just like, you can't just steal people's cars.
If Natasha Romanoff and Yelena took my BMW, I would gladly get out a car and give them my keys and say, you could keep it.
It's yours. Have at it. So they crash that BMW right into the subway. When it goes down those stairs, I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was scared. The Taskmaster is scary, it doesn't, at first you're like, it's just someone in a scary suit. But when Taskmaster is just marching through the subway, my heart was racing. I'm like, please don't find them. Please don't find them.
Shield, it was so scary, but Natasha's had to hide out there before with Hawkeye, so she knows exactly where to hide.
I would love a spin-off show of just seeing all the stuff Black Widow and Hawkeye did together.
Yeah, they always reference what they did in Budapest, but we don't have the whole story. So Disney, you have Disney Plus now.
The Hawkeye show is coming out, so I wouldn't be too shocked if they explore some of it. But yeah, so we're nearing the end of this scene. We did see Scarlett Johansson and Florence on this motorcycle in that black leather jacket still. Another episode we have talked about where someone is on a motorcycle.
Looking hot. Once
again, motorcycles just automatically make you look cool or hot, or both.
They should have been wearing helmets, though.
Wear a helmet, people. You heard it here first.
Wear a helmet. If you're gonna try to be looking cool, wear a helmet.
You could look cool and still wear a helmet.
But they get out of the city. It's okay. And they go on a little sister shopping spree to clean themselves up. And my second favorite scene in this movie happens when Yelena's talking about the superhero pose.
Yeah, she's basically like, that is some bullshit. What is that thing you do? And she gets down and she's trying to do. Yeah, it's so funny. It's so cute. I love this. I love the sisterly chemistry between these two actresses. It's very good. It's very real. It's
so good. It's very real. And at first it kind of seems like they're going to go their separate ways because she's just kind of she's mad that after Natasha thought she brought the Red Room down that she didn't come to look for her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of a hard thing to cross, too.
Yeah.
I was busy for all those years.
I was busy. Sorry.
Elizabeth, I would come back and look for you if I blew up Dreykov in Budapest. I would come find you.
I would look for you, too.
Oh, well,
I would look for you, too.
I don't know
I
if I
don't know how
believe
hard
that.
I would look,
Yeah.
but I would look for you.
There it is. See, I knew she was not 100% on this.
Like, I do some Google searches. I would call some people, like, maybe try to hack into, like, a satellite imaging thing. Be like, take this picture, run it against all the cameras in the world.
And join the Avengers.
Yeah.
So, Natasha and Yelena are coming up with a plan to bring down the Red Room. But first, we have this really brilliant scene because it has to do a lot with costume, but also the plot of the MCU, which I just cannot wait to talk about. It is Yelena trying on her new fancy vest that she bought for herself.
Fancy vest, the first piece of clothing she's ever bought for herself.
And she loves it.
And it's a utility vest.
Yes, she loves it because she says it has, 12 pockets?
Got so many pockets. You can hide anything in these. You wouldn't even know.
Oh my god, I love it so much.
She's that little kid we saw at the beginning of the movie, all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's like the first thing she's ever bought for herself. And I love it too because I never realized how much I actually did like that vest from the other Marvel movies.
I know. I didn't really give it a second thought. It took me a while to realize oh, that's the vest that's in the other movies.
Yeah, she wears it a lot in Infinity War. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, obviously, as we'll see through this movie. But I love that vest on her, and I love that costume design had a lot to do with the plot of the MCU at this moment, which was cool. Costume designers rule.
Yes! Love it.
We're controlling the MCU now with our multiple pockets.
Get out of the way. We have pockets now. Oh, but she's happy. And they're like, well, who would know where the Red Room is? Alexei might know. And she's like, Dad? She's like, yeah, he might know. So they're like, okay. Guess it's time for a jailbreak.
I love how it's so simple. You're like, well, we need to break someone out of jail. And this sends them on a journey to go find Alexei in a very scary, frozen-looking prison somewhere in Russia. Before we go to the scary prison, Elizabeth, I think we should take a break and find some warmer clothing because it is cold.
I think we should. I think I need to get myself a hot meal, too, because the food there didn't look so great.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's take a break. It's time for a prison break.
Time for a prison break. Mason has set them up with an inadequate helicopter, but some kick-ass suits.
Ugh. Oh my gosh, these costumes right here. I mean, I love this white costume on Natasha. It is so good.
It is so good. These costumes are... You can really see where she kind of diverged from the original Black Widow. This was where she really wanted to make them comfortable. She made them out of a rubbery fabric. And in between the seams, they had 2 to 3 milliliters of elastic so that they could stretch. They could actually do all this cool stuff that they're doing.
I love that.
And apparently Scarlett Johansson said it was the most comfortable outfit. So, because I'm from what you hear from most people and who wear the superhero costumes, they're not comfy. But apparently these were comfy.
Well, that's good. I mean, they should be comfy, and they should also be she has to do a lot of stunts and a lot of action. They should be comfy, but also still flexible and breathable. So I'm glad that Jany actually took that into consideration with, this costume that she wears for a good majority of the movie. I dare to say for almost the rest of the movie.
This is her signature suit of the movie.
And white looks good on her.
White looks good on her. However, it was for a very practical reason. To me, when she was doing her research, she came across photos of the Russian and Norwegian armies, and they live where it snows, where it gets cold and snows for a majority of the year. So both of these armies have white uniforms. So she was like, oh, well, they're going to somewhere where it's all snowy. So yeah, let's give them white.
Yeah, I mean, white is like the perfect camouflage for being in the snow. I mean, think of any movie that takes place in snow, like Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, where they're all wearing white uniforms in that snowy planet of Hoth. It makes sense, especially when Natasha and Yelena are about to break out Alexei out of prison in a snowy, like, frozen scape. They need to be wearing white to blend in, so it's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect.
This costume is just everything it needed to be.
It's everything it needed to be. And then compared to this perfection, we get reintroduced to Alexei. Yeah. Who is not looking so hot.
Yeah, I mean, he is going on all these about, fantasy stories that he had in his heyday, which I'm not sure how much of it is truth. I feel like I need to just kind of sit on this for a while. I need to watch it again and kind of figure out what he's talking about and where it takes place in the timeline. Because Captain America would have been frozen when Alexei was a super soldier. So, something's not adding up. So I'm starting to wonder if he's a little on the crazy side.
That could very well be true. It
seems to me that after the Captain America project, that there was a huge, want for super soldiers all of a sudden. And it sounds like almost like a cold nuclear war. Like, America came up with super soldiers, then the Russians came up with super soldiers, and I bet that just kind of happened all over the place.
Probably.
So, looks like Alexei was the Russian super soldier that... For some reason, they just put him in prison afterwards, so...
I think he was a little too opinionated, but he's clearly opinionated. He's breaking people's, arms in arm wrestling matches, so he clearly, never kept an opinion to himself.
No, David Harbour does so good in this role, by the way. I hope that we get to see more of Alexei in future MCU, spin-offs, movies, anything. He's really good as Alexei. He's so fun. He's so good at being a fatherly figure, like we've seen in Stranger Things, but also really funny at the same time. But then also, he has a great way of coming off as caring and real too. He's a very good actor. He has a
teddy bear quality to him, where he looks big and scary, but he's not.
That's a perfect way to put it. He's like a big teddy bear. He's America's dad.
Not in this movie.
Yeah. Well,
in this movie, he thinks he's Russia's superhero. And Yelena and Natasha get his attention in the most perfect way by sending him an action figure of himself with an earpiece in it so he can get to the pickup location.
Yeah, and Natasha and Yelena waste no time. It's walk down this hallway, turn right. All hell breaks loose.
They tell him, don't make a scene.
Yeah.
He makes a scene.
He makes a very big scene. I mean, instant chaos. And this prison break just quickly spirals out of control. And I mean, literally, Black Widow, Natasha is spiraling down cables from this helicopter, trying to...
She looks incredible in that suit.
When she gets out of the plane and just kind of
she does the superhero pose.
Oh, so good. That is it. That is the photo right there. And she just looks so good. Yelena is wearing her vest with 1,000 pockets in it while she's flying this plane. So she has the white uniform with the vest over it. And it works.
And it's so her, because she's in this scene, you really realize how down to business she is. Because, she's trying to fly the plane, keep it on track. The guards are shooting at her. So she's just like, okay, never mind. Let me put this in autopilot so I can take this rocket launcher and take out the guard tower.
Yeah. That basically starts the biggest avalanche, which at this moment I'm like, might be killing a lot of people here that probably don't need to be killed.
Yeah. I think a lot of them make it inside, though, but whether or not Russia's actually going to go save them...
Yeah. I was like, ooh, I don't know if that was a good idea, but...
But how is she to know?
It's fine. We won't see what happens. I love Alexei's outfit as he's breaking out of jail. He's wearing like this dirty tank top with like a black jacket shirt over it and like some baggy pants.
Yeah,
and
his prison uniform.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, everyone was wearing that in the prison.
Well, I forgot. Yes, you're right. But it's so interesting seeing them wearing like black uniforms as prison jumpsuits. I'm so used to like the American like orange jumpsuit.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that he's wearing a black prison jumpsuit. But he just looks so funny, like smashing through all these guards with his like messed up beard and dirty tank top. This guy who looks like he should be weak and tired is just totally just making it.
He's messing everybody up, and he gets to them just in time, just as the avalanche is consuming the prison.
I was like, how is Natasha going to lift this man up into the helicopter?
Natasha Romanoff. She can do it.
She can do it, but he looked like a... Never mind, I'm not going to say that. I was just going to say, he looks too heavy to lift up into the helicopter. If it was me and I was trying to lift my dad up into a helicopter, I definitely would have dropped him. I am not strong enough.
No. Yeah,
but
same.
I guess that's why I'm not a Avenger, I guess.
Very good reasons neither of us are Avengers. And he is so grateful.
Yeah, he's like so happy. I'm so glad.
My girls!
I'm so proud of my girls. I'm so glad you rescued me. And Natasha and Yelena are just not having it. They're like, please shut up and go sit down. Like, we just need you for business. I otherwise could care less. You could sit back in that prison for all I care.
Yelena's like, you sent us off to a place that gave us nothing but misery.
Yeah, I mean, what a moment, you know?
Oh gosh, she's
how pissed you would be.
When she's describing her hysterectomy.
Yeah. Wow.
And she's like, you want to know how terrible it was?
Yeah, I was like, I would just shut up if I were you. Alexei, just don't.
Yeah. Tell us where to find the red room. Everything will be good. And he's like,
He's a talker. He basically says that they need to find Melina, who is somewhere outside of St. Petersburg. And Yelena's like, well, we do not have enough gas. And Alexei was kind of like, well, we could try. And I love the scene where, like, very Madagascar-ish, where the plane just like
crash.
The plane just drops out of the sky at some point.
Drops out of the sky, and they're stuck walking the rest of the way to Melina's.
It was very cartoonish, but I still loved it. I thought it was just so funny how the plane just dropped out of the sky. And this is when we kind of pan over to this farm, and Melina is very enjoying a life with her pet pigs.
Treating them like lab rats through a little maze.
Yeah, and she gets a notice that her perimeter is being breached. And I love that you're like, oh, she's just like a sweet little farmer now, just enjoying time with her pigs. She immediately walks to like this room and pulls out the biggest, scariest sniper rifle if I've ever seen.
Yes.
She's ready just to start blowing people away instantly.
She is. And like, because you see her, she's in this like, I guess it's kind of like dark navy blue jumpsuit. Jany Temime, when she thought about like, okay, what is Melina going to look like, you know, modern day, she was thinking of like the Russian Revolutionary work posters where it's like, yeah, everyone's like in these work uniforms working to make Russia greater. And kind of what she was going for was like, you know, she was raised in like the Russian, you know, Soviet ideals, and then when it all fell apart, she still had them and just didn't know what to do with them.
That's so cool. I love that. That makes so much sense to me. And it's very, it feels very that, like a war poster almost. It feels very durable. You know, she's working on lots of projects, very handy, very utility. So I thought this made a lot of sense for her character. And I love that, you know, last time we see her, she's being carried away on a stretcher after she was shot. And you're thinking, like, well, after all these years, like, how has everyone's lives turned out? And you would think, like, oh, Alexei would have had it all. And who knows what would have happened to Melina. But it's actually the opposite. Alexei was rotting away in some prison, just playing games with the prisoners all day long. Meanwhile, Melina is, like, living her life, and now she's her own kick-ass Black Widow.
Yeah. She's got a house of her own. She has her own work. She's, like, semi-retired.
Yeah, it seems that way. And this brings us to probably the most awkward family reunion, if there ever was one.
Ever. Of a fake Russian spy family.
Yeah, fake Russian spy family reunion. And they're together around the dinner table. Not a lot of words are said at first.
No, because Alexei's in the bathroom trying to put his old uniform back on.
Yeah, this is funny. It goes back to what you were saying about, like, superhero costumes not being comfortable and, like, realistic. And I feel like this scene is saying everything that you said. He's, like, trying to squeeze into this really unrealistic costume. It's because he doesn't fit it, but also it's just, like, this uniform probably didn't make sense in the first place, as he spends a long time trying to squeeze into it.
No. To me, she wanted the design to kind of reflect what the Soviet Union thought America was. So, like, bright primary colors, you know, kind of goofy. She, for the helmet, she got inspiration from, the helmets people wear when they're shot out of cannons at a circus. So she really wanted this to just be, like, the antithesis of, like, Captain America, because she's like, it's the USSR, like, they don't have as good of resources as America, so it's, like, a little bit cheaper, a little bit more, it's more of, like, an imitation of Captain America, as opposed to their own, like, strong symbol.
Yeah.
And it clearly did not endure.
No, it did not live very long, but I do love it, though, especially after, you know, in our second episode we talked about Captain America, and it feels very reminiscent to, like, that first Captain America uniform he had too, when he was storming the Hydra base the first time with I think it was, yeah, that, like, makeshift shield. It feels very reminiscent to that time period of, like, the early Captain America. So I think that's very cool.
It does. I love it. He's so happy when he comes out. And I love him and Yelena, like, clearly, like, had a thing when they were being a fake family that clearly never ended.
Yeah.
Which I thought was adorable.
He's very excited to see her. I think Melina is almost excited to see him. Not as much as Alexei, but I feel like deep down she is still happy.
I feel like it's a pleasant surprise for her.
Yeah. She was not expecting all of this to happen on this day, but it happened.
It happened. And they have the worst family dinner ever, where they just keep drinking vodka.
Oh, God.
I love Melina's trying to get Yelena to eat something. She's like, you can't just drink, you gotta eat. And she's like, you're such a mom. And they're, like, they're all going back and forth. And Natasha's like, we were never a family, it was all fake. And I love Yelena and Alexei are like, we did pretty good for two deep undercover Soviet spies.
Yeah, they're just very like, oh, we did the best we could. And but then at the same time, it's like, remember that time where we had that one day where we recorded Christmas and all these holidays in the same night?
Yeah.
With, like, the empty Christmas presents. They were just boxes with no gifts inside them.
It's so funny because it was all clearly very, you know, manipulated, fake, but, like, for Yelena and Alexei, like, it was kind of real. Like, they did care about these two little girls they were put in charge of.
Elizabeth, there's this very awkward part where Melina is explaining what she's been up to nowadays. Yeah. She did not pick up crocheting She is not, working at a grocery store. She's been working on her mind control experiments. And she basically shows off her work by bringing in this pig, which she named...
Alexi the pig.
She named after Alexi, which was the perfect read.
You don't see the resemblance?
I thought that was so funny. I think I laughed out loud in the theater, and there wasn't a lot of people in there. So
no. It was ridiculous.
So she basically is talking about all the things she can make you do, and that includes telling you not to breathe if she doesn't want you to breathe. And she makes the pig stop breathing. And... This is a Disney Marvel movie, and we're watching a pig basically suffocate. That was messed up. That is going to stick with me forever. She finally lets the pig breathe, and Alexi walks away. Alexi the pig. And I was just like, what the f*** am I watching right now? This is messed up. This is a dark Marvel movie.
And she's just kind of like, oh, yeah, this is my side project.
Yeah, if you're looking at, the darkest Marvel movies, we're probably talking Infinity War, and Black Widow is definitely up there with the top...
It is up there.
Top dark Marvel movies. Black Widow must be top 3.
Oh, yeah.
Because you would not get away with this in Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor.
No.
Spider-Man.
And for poor Yelena, she's, having a whole mental breakdown because she discovers that Melena was the one who created the mind control drug that she was suffering under.
Yeah, Melena is really having a hard time because at the same time she's realizing her mom is this evil supervillain that is the reason for so much of her suffering. At the same time, they're talking about how her entire childhood wasn't real. And so she's taking these two very hard truths at the same time. And it basically, Yelena's I'm going back to my room. And this leads to a lot of different events. But Alexi, of course, being the big guy who does not take he does not take a hint.
Answer.
He does not know how to read a room. He's like, I'm going to go talk to her as a dad. Which I would not suggest, but he does it anyways. So we divide into two different stories. We have Yelena and Alexi in one room, and we have Natasha and Melena in another room. Going over to Yelena and Alexi.
He's trying.
They're having a heart-to-heart, but it's just not landing.
It's not landing. His weird story about fishing and his dad pissing on his hands just does not connect with the current situation. He doesn't understand that. She's basically being a mopey teenager, which she totally has every right to do. And it's not working until he starts to sing her favorite song.
Oh, yes.
American Pie.
They start singing American Pie. It's just for a second, I get why all of a sudden it starts to feel real again. Maybe it was real, maybe it wasn't. I mean, it doesn't help that Alexi's stuffed into this really cheesy superhero costume, but I think they both just kind of get lost in a moment, and it is kind of touching at the same time. David Harbour just plays dad so good.
He's so good at it.
He's just the best dad. But in the other room, things are not as happy and lovely because Natasha and Melena are not having a heart-to-heart. It's more cut the shit. Where is the red room? None of this is real, so just tell me what I need to know. And Melena starts going into this big, long story about, everything that happened in their lives, her role in the red room, the Black Widow project. But Natasha notices on a bookshelf the photo album from the 1995 house in Ohio.
That she was told not to take.
Yeah, so Natasha's like, well, if none of that was real, then why do you have this? And I think that is the light bulb that goes off in Melena's head. You know what? I actually did care about this family, and I still kind of do, actually.
She still does, but unfortunately, she has already called the Red Room.
I was so mad. I'm like, of course you did. Why wouldn't you call the Red Room?
She's already called the Red Room. Alexi gets shot by 24 trank darts through the window. Yelena goes to try and find everybody else. She finds Black Widow passed out. And then we see Yelena dressed up as a widow.
Oh, yeah. And boy, does Rachel Weisz look good in that uniform.
She looks so good. And she says she's part of an older generation of widows. Her suit reflects that. It's a little bit different. It's not quite as, like, armored as Yelena's. It's a little sleeker. It's more... I felt like it was more of, like, a military, like, show dress as opposed to functional Black Widow suit.
Yeah, it definitely had, like, this vintagey kind of vibe to it. It felt definitely more dated, I would say. I'm guessing that she must have been wearing it before they were in that house in 1995. So it felt maybe like, I don't know, maybe early 90s, late 80s. But it had, like, a vintage feel to it, which was cool. I, like, you know... At that moment, I was like, oh, wow, there's, like, different generations of these Black Widows. Yeah. It's like, Yelena is the OG Black Widow, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah. I am just going to say, I hope we get to see more of her and future MCU stuff, too. You know, if we lost one Black Widow, at least we get the OG Black Widow.
Yeah, so, please.
Please.
Please. But, as of right now... Everyone except Yelena captured by the Red Room.
Yeah, and we are in these planes. Things are not looking good right now. Everyone's captured. And someone says, like, oh, we're getting ready to land. Alexi's like, where are we landing? I don't see it.
Because he's like, we're still, like, up in the air. I don't get it.
Yeah.
How could we be landing in 5 minutes?
And that's when we all realize that the Red Room is not on the ground. It is in the sky, and that is why no one knows where the Red Room is. Before we get into the madness of the Red Room, we need to take a break because there is a lot to process that happens inside. Yeah, it's hardcore up in here, so we're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
Are you ready for the epic conclusion?
I don't know if I am ready. There's a lot that happens here.
There is a lot that happens. They get up there. Yelena's like, send Alexei and Natasha down to the cells. Yelena's dragged off because they're about to cut her head open to figure out how exactly the mind control was disabled. And Yelena's like, I'm going to go talk to Dreykov.
Ugh.
And Dreykov's up in his office in a 3-piece suit. And a little bit of information about this look. So, like before with the jumpsuit, he was trying to look very, like, rich, in charge. At this point in his life and career, he wants to be seen as, like, on the same level as, like, a president. But clearly, he's not. He's not to that point yet. So, whereas he's wearing this 3-piece suit with the black shirt, to me, she said the black shirt represents that, like, he's still a gangster. Like, if he had the prestige of, like, a president, that would be a white shirt. Mm-hmm. So, despite his best efforts, he's still just the gangster wearing that tracksuit.
I love that. It's almost like he's like a mafia president, like in training, waiting in the shadows for like his time. So it's almost like he's like practicing the part before he thinks he's going to take over and actually play the role as the leader of this new world he's trying to create.
Yeah, which is totally what he wants to do. So he's talking to Yelena, but he says to her, you know, like, you recognize the people you've raised. And he has raised these girls. Very creepily, but he's raised them. And he reveals that it is Natasha wearing one of those digital face masks to look like Yelena, and not actually Yelena.
I'm so glad that we're talking about this scene, because I went to the movies and got a very large Coke. And this was the moment I ran very quickly to the bathroom. And when I came back and she swapped her face to be Natasha, I was like, okay.
Confusion?
Yeah. I was not sure what I missed. It was very quick. I missed probably a minute and a half. But a lot happened in that minute and a half.
A lot happened. And it's great because we're like, oh, okay. That's Natasha. That's not Yelena. We go down to the cells where Alexei and Yelena with the Natasha mask, they're there. And Alexei, he's trying to break through the glass and he's just like, oh, Natasha, I can't do it, da-da-da. He's like pouring his heart out about how much he really did care about them. And like, yes, he is a loser, but like he cares about her, da-da-da. And Yelena's just like, Alexei, stop. He's like, I can get us out of here. He's like, Natasha, what are you talking about? She's like, it's not Natasha, it's Yelena. She takes her mask off and it gets them out of the cells.
Alexei's just so confused. He's like, why am
confused.
He's clearly just not in on any of the plans because they just don't see a lot of use. And making him a leader on any of these things, like who runs the world girls at this moment, and Alexei is just there as the muscle.
He's there as the muscle, and this is the first place we get a flashback to the time between when Yelena said she had called the Red Room and when the Red Room get there. Her and Natasha were making a plan. They were putting it together. Yelena was giving her the necessary information, and they put together a flawless plan. However, they only have 2 ear comms, so Natasha was like, okay, you keep that one. We'll give the other one to Yelena, because they don't have time to fill in either Yelena or Alexei on what's going on.
Exactly. It's just like, this has to happen right now, and this is what we have to work with. So, sorry, Alexei, but you were not included.
You're not included. You also don't get an earpiece, so you can't tell anybody how you feel.
Meanwhile, Natasha's having a pretty rough moment with Dreykov. She's kind of confused. She definitely thought at one point she blew him up, and she's kind of getting to what really happened.
Yeah, she was under the impression that she had blown up him and his daughter, his young daughter.
Yeah, and Dreykov is like, that's funny. I actually want to talk to you about that. And Taskmaster shows up, brings down the visor on the helmet, and it is Dreykov's daughter.
It is his daughter. She does not look great.
No, this is an awkward moment.
That's an awkward moment. And I'm like, I get that, like, she probably just barely hung on to her life. But clearly you have all the best, like, technology. You couldn't have, like, fixed her face. Like, the poor girl, her entire face is burned off.
Well, I think the point is that she is just a tool to him, and her face does not matter. She's literally just a machine at this point, a evil killing machine. That's why she wears a helmet. I mean, he has the power to just remove your entire identity from these girls. So that was kind of the point. And he basically says that she has the power to just perfectly mimic the actions of any fighter, including all the Avengers, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But so things are looking bleak for Natasha.
Things are looking bleak for Natasha, but Yelena's in a sticky situation.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
She is tied down to a medical table, and they're getting ready to literally do brain surgery to murder her and take her brain out to find out what exactly broke the mind control.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is pretty perfect at making you feel queasy every 15 minutes. Because they were getting ready to remove her brain. Yeah.
But Yelena gets on the comms, and she's like, hey, I stuck a little knifey knife in your suit knife for ya. So she breaks herself out, and Yelena's like, okay, go find the antidote. It's down there somewhere.
She's working on that. Meanwhile, Natasha's finally like, I'm going to end this right now, and I'm going to kill Dreykov. Tries to kill him, and she can't. She can't pull the trigger on her gun.
She can't do it, and she thinks she's in the clear, because like, he sent Taskmaster down to take care of Yelena and Alexei. So she thinks she's in the clear. but she's not.
No, in very misogynistic fashion, Dreykov uses a pheromone lock installed in every widow where he's able to control the actions, and they're not able to turn on him, basically, because of this pheromone that you can smell.
They cannot hurt him.
Just is so creepy. Like, this is some creepy, dark stuff.
So creepy.
And this really, I feel like, leads back to the idea that, you know, Scarlett Johansson was talking about how this movie really was born from the Me Too movement, because it's just like this. It's all coming down to this moment where you have this man who's just able to control all of your actions, you know, through Hollywood contracts or pheromones. That's all the same, and it's just so creepy. Speaking of parts that make you feel queasy, after Natasha's listening to all this bullshit, realizing that he has widows all over the world, Natasha remembers from her plan earlier with Yelena, the only way to break free from this pheromone is breaking the nerve in her nasal passage. So, Elizabeth, please tell me what she does to fix this.
Just remembering this scene makes me nauseous. And, like, she tried... It's so funny, because she, like, goads him into beating her up and reveal his master plan. And then she's just like, oh, thank you. You've been so helpful. But, like, you're not strong enough. And he's confused. He's like, what about the fact that I control every single government in the world with my widows is confusing. Also, creepy note that I just remembered. He calls girls the world's most abundant natural resource. And that's why it's just okay for him to, like, train and discard however many he needs. I was like,
gross.
That is so gross, but it's something so many people believe. Anyway, it was so nasty. He's confused because he's like, what do you, like, huh? And she slams her head on the table and just smashes her nose. Oh my gosh, the noise.
So nasty.
So nasty. It made me so nauseous.
We will try not to dwell on it because it really sticks with you. Natasha instantly, once she breaks that nerve, she's ready to go. I mean, it just goes into action real quick.
She's ready to go into action. Alexi's getting some action because he's in a fight with Taskmaster now.
Yeah, and this part freaked me out because we talked about Taskmaster mimicking, like, the moves of Avengers. When Taskmaster withdrew the claws, just like Black Panther, I was like, oh, it's over. Like, there's no way.
He doesn't stand a chance.
No.
He doesn't stand a chance. Apparently, Yelena doesn't stand a chance. She's tried hacking into the system, but Dreykov locks her out.
Yeah, the plan is really kind of spiraling out of control. I mean, they're basically fighting Black Panther at this moment, so...
Yeah, it's spiraled out of control. He has recalled all widows on the base to his office for the express purpose of murdering Natasha.
Yeah, and he's basically like make it last a long time. Make sure you really make Natasha feel tortured.
Yes, so she is just getting beat up by the widows. Meantime, Yelena is just like, well, our original plan isn't really working out. I guess I'll just destroy one of the engines?
Yeah, in a very simple move. She basically... Very casually just blows up one engine, which just starts a chain reaction of this entire facility really coming down pretty quickly. Natasha's getting beat up. Yelena is, like, looking for the widows, finally gets to the office where all of them are. Just jumping the hell out of her sister.
One of the widows is, like, holding her. The rest of them are taking turns to beat her up. Smartly, they just, like, throw them all the antidotes up into the air and, like, explode it.
Yeah, it was like an antidote grenade. And it worked. Suddenly all the widows were just like, what? What's going on? So, there's a little bit of hope for now. But the building is falling apart very quickly. So Dreykov is escaping, and he makes it to a helicopter.
The widows are all trying to escape, and Yelena's like, okay, Natasha, let's go. And Natasha's like, I'll be right behind you. She's got to get all the information off that computer first.
Yeah, she does like a complete wipe of his laptop control room computer and downloads everything to her personal Google Drive so she could share with it everyone afterwards.
Yeah. That's exactly what she does. Yelena and Alexei, they get out. They try to go back to save Yelena and Natasha, but...
No, I mean, the place is just falling apart, so they make it out.
Natasha is like, okay, gotta go save Taskmaster now.
Yeah, which was very sweet. After the building is fall apart, Natasha lands in the hallway where Taskmaster is locked up. Honestly, I was like, just leave her. that was my...
She doesn't deserve that.
I know, but like when she went back, I was like, what is she going back for? And I was like, oh, to go save Taskmaster.
Because you would feel terrible if you destroyed a small child's life too, Spencer.
Well, I get it. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. Just me, if I was falling off of this building, I would not have been like, I need to go save this person who threw me off of a bridge 2 days ago.
Because she's a badass. She was also able to salvage 2 unexploded antidotes.
Yeah, she releases Taskmaster from her cell. The feeling is not mutual, though, for Taskmaster at this moment. Still ready to just beat up Natasha as much as she can.
She's beating her up all through the crumbling building until they get out on, like, the helipad. And Natasha, she sees the widows going. Then she also sees Yelena doing something stupid. She takes a staff and destroys the engine of the helicopter that Dreykov is on. Killing Dreykov.
Yeah, I mean...
Right when he thinks he's escaped.
He's obliterated, but I was upset because I thought Yelena was dying at this moment because I was on Twitter the day before and I swear I read something saying Yelena dies. So I was like, oh, this is where she dies. This shows why you should not...
she was a goner.
Yeah, don't listen to Twitter spoilers, everyone. They're not always correct.
They're not always correct, but Natasha's like, I can save 2 people at once. Conveniently grabs a parachute and and somehow catches her sister falling through the air.
The full-on, free fall is very scary. But she gets the parachute on Yelena, which I was very relieved to see. But she looks up and sees Taskmaster ready to fight.
Coming for her.
She does not give up. And they go into this big ol' fight all the way to when they finally land in this field. While the Red Room is crumbling and falling apart like meteors landing into this...
fighting.
Yeah. And luckily, Natasha wins the fight and is able to use this antidote on Taskmaster, which was very sweet. Just like you said, Elizabeth, it was worth it. I just did not believe in the cause right away.
Her first desperate words are, "Is he dead?"
And Natasha's
she wanted her father dead too.
Yeah, Natasha's like, yeah, he's gone.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, let's call it even, kind of.
She finds Yelena, Milena, and Alexei. And I love Natasha's like, is everyone okay? And Milena's limping. She's like, clearly I'm injured. She's like, no, I'm not.
Yelena does not know what a joke is. She does not have room for jokes in her brain.
She doesn't. But she does realize that Secretary of State, he's coming. And of course, they all want to stand and fight with her, but she's like, I got this. It's just the U.S. government.
Yeah, this is not a big deal. Just go, get out of here. All the Black Widows show up that they saved.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect, why don't you go with all them? I think you'll be safe with all of them.
Yeah, they grab Taskmaster and they're like, it's okay, we didn't forget about you.
Yeah, you're coming with us. And I thought that was super touching.
Yeah, and everybody gets away. Then a couple weeks later, Natasha's off to save the Avengers.
And I love this part because she got the vest from Yelena. And that's when it all really clicks. This is Black Widow's costume going into Infinity War because she has the blonde hair. She has it reminds me, remember from Infinity War, that scene where she's battling with Scarlet Witch and Okoye against Proxima Midnight in Wakanda?
Yeah.
Like, it just is like such a like precursor, like Infinity War is coming at this moment, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah. Mason's gotten her a much better plane this time.
She must have paid off her debts or something.
She must have. Well, the real problem was that Secretary Ross was like, what's up? That was the problem.
I think
so clearly she got Secretary Ross off his case. So that is, sadly, the end of Black Widow's story.
This is the last moment we see Natasha Romanoff, maybe forever. And that was a hard truth for me to swallow.
I know. They sent her off in style, though.
Yes, they did. I thought this was the perfect movie to send her off. No one could tell me any differently. I thought this movie was perfect.
It was. It was.
And it ends on an even more perfect note, because we all know in a Marvel movie, you always stay for the credits.
You always
after
stay.
Credits.
The after credits, you have to stay through the entire credits, though, for this one.
Yeah, even the part where it gets quiet in the credits. Like, you keep waiting. We have Yelena arriving to Natasha's gravesite, and I love what Yelena's wearing, because to me, this is what I read. It's like she's now buying clothes for herself. She's creating her own style, and I feel like Yelena must have watched Clueless recently, and she loved that movie, because her outfit, this like yellow plaid outfit, feels very reminiscent to Clueless, designed by Mona May.
Yeah. She's just like, she's trying to live her best life, but she's sad that her sister's gone. And it was like kind of sweet to see like her, like Natasha's gravesite where it says daughter, sister, avenger.
Yeah, which was very wonderful. But then things really take a turn for me.
Oh my gosh, they do. I'm already annoyed by this character.
No, my favorite comedy show is Veep with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And she is absolutely brilliant in that show. It recently ended and I felt lost with it. Her character in Veep as the evil vice president turned president translates perfectly into Avengers MCU as Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
She's so evil.
It is the same character, just like MCU style. And she looks so good in this role. I love the purple highlight in her hair. I am going to have a purple highlight in my hair by sometime next year. Count on it.
That's your choice, Spencer.
She just looks so good in like this black coat, which looks very designer, and like the red turtleneck.
She's like, I love her look because it's very like governmental and like being a representative or a senator, even though she's clearly neither.
Yeah, her character is very mysterious, and I'm very excited that we went from like Thanos being the MCU villain, and now it's going to be Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character. It's like the perfect segue. Well, I should say there's going to be other villains if you've been keeping up with all of the Disney shows happening right now. Mm-hmm. But
it gives you a little clue for the next Disney show, I think.
I think so too, because Valentina Allegra de Fontaine gives Yelena her next target. So clearly Yelena did not start working at a Panera Bread after this whole experience. She knows what she knows. Assassin work is her job. Her next target is Clint, the Hawkeye, really.
Do you want to chance at the person responsible for your sister's death? He didn't do anything wrong.
I know. Come on. Someone tell the truth here.
Also, note on Natasha's costumes whenever she's not in a suit. Did you notice the necklace she was wearing?
No.
She is wearing a little silver necklace. In the middle of it is an arrow charm.
Aw, no way.
Whenever you see her, like, not in a suit, she is wearing this little necklace. It's very delicate, very small, like, not super noticeable. But it's a little necklace
of an arrow. But this brings us to the end of Black Widow. Like I said already 100 times, I thought this movie was perfect. I thought it was so much fun and just the perfect send-off for this character that we love, Black Widow. I still hope that there is a chance that she'll come back somehow. But this was just a perfect, one-handed movie for all of us to have.
It really was. It was so nice because she deserved to have her own movie. It was overdue. It was so overdue.
And the costumes created by Jany Temime, they were just perfect. The idea was not all these different looks. It was like really focusing on their core looks that I thought were really great. The way that they did them, they were comfortable. They made sense to their location, and it made the actors and actresses look great.
Yeah, they did.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode, Elizabeth. But I think you should tell everyone what we're going to be watching next week.
So, I already miss Black Widow, and I just feel like maybe we should stay in the MCU. And it's also time for us to look at another TV show. So I know, we are watching the Emmy-nominated WandaVision.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love WandaVision.
Such a good one.
So much. I'm so ready. The costumes for that by Maya C. Rubio.
So much fun.
So good. So thank you all so much for listening, and I can't wait for next week.
I can't wait either. If you liked what you heard, tell a friend. Spread it around. Let everybody know what you love. Follow us wherever you like to listen, and have a wonderful week.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
The Art of Costume Blogcast is hosted by Elizabeth Joy Glass and Spencer Williams.
Produced by Elizabeth Joy Glass with associate producer Spencer Williams.
Our sound design and engineering is done by Daniel White.
Follow us on Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod.
Or visit theartofcostumeblogcast.com for all blogcast updates.
For more costume reviews, deep dives, and interviews, visit theartofcostume.com.
A blog dedicated to highlighting the best in costume design.